Did you ever have a buyer that wants to make a lowball offer because the house has been on the market a long time? Or maybe you even heard other agents recommend low offers based on the days on the market? I'm going to show you 4 reasons why this is a really bad idea. And no, it's not being worried about pissing off the seller. I'm also going to give you a real-life example of how it blew up like a hand grenade and affected not only the buyer, but everyone in the blast area. But first, if you're new to the channel or new to the business, welcome. I want you to know I'm not selling coaching or training programs. I'm a retired broker owner of 30 years and I hated all the sales pitches, mostly for crap that we didn't really need anyway. YouTube pays me to make these videos once monetized, so we can just simply discuss the topics that are of interest to me and that can help you improve your business. And you're welcome to make constructive comments or questions that might help everyone. And if you really like the video at the end, you can buy me a cup of coffee if you want. Now, the problem starts with the incorrect assumption that there's something wrong with the house based on the days on the market. There could be, and if so, it's usually pretty obvious once you tour the house. The problem jumps right out at you and the buyer can decide if it's a big deal or not a big deal. But what if it's not so obvious? It's easy to conclude that it's just overpriced, which again, it very well could be. But it leads to problem number 2. It's illogical to think that a house is overpriced just because it hasn't sold. I mean, that would mean that every unsold house is overpriced. But with a high days on the market, it's easier for buyers to fall into that flawed mindset and be lured by the possibility of getting a great deal. So our job as their agent is to help them remember, where does good deal fall on their list of needs and wants, which helps them prevent problem number 3. The irrational thought that they will like the house more if they get it for a lower price. If they got the house for, let's say, 50% off, they would love that bargain, but the house is still the house. And it's not a bargain if it doesn't meet their needs or if they don't absolutely love it. But let's say they do like the house and it does meet their needs and they're lured by the potential bargain and they feel empowered by the lack of competing offers. So they say, what's the harm? If we don't get the house, we don't get the house. Oh well. Well, if they really don't care, why are we making an offer in the first place? If the buyer says that they do care, then what happens if and when the lowball offer backfires and they don't get the house? How are you going to feel if you don't get it? Which is why I promised you a real-life case study. Remember the emotional hand grenade explosion that affects everyone around it? And this is where it gets real. The buyer tours the house. They love it. It's been on the market over 4 times the average days on the market. The price was originally $969,000. In hindsight, that was overpriced. But in fairness, the price was reduced regularly and at the time of the offer, it's listed for $773,000 and it's arguably underpriced. But buyers might think the price is in a free fall and they offer $715,000, about 8% low. They feel empowered by the long days on the market, maybe even righteous, but there's no real discussion about the comps or the real value of the property. You as an agent absolutely cannot determine fair market value based on the discount off of list price. So in this story, another offer comes in and then another. After a few rounds, the buyer goes to $750,000 and insists that's the highest they'll go. Another buyer goes to $755,000. That deal quickly gets signed within the day. The day after that, the buyer comes back and says they'll go $773,000. That's $23,000 more than their highest price. And there it is, the emotional hand grenade. This buyer lost the house that they really were willing to pay full price from the very beginning, but all because they started with a lowball offer. Number 2, the buyer's agent lost over $20,000 in commissions and maybe no chance of recouping that if the buyer fires them or stops looking at houses altogether. Number 3, the seller loses about $18,000 on the sale price. And 4th, the listing agent lost over $500 in commissions and had to listen to a handful of pissed off phone calls. But this video isn't over yet. you still need to know how to stop this from happening to you and your buyer. So I'm going to tell you right now how I would handle it, and I blame the buyer's agent for not giving the buyer proper advice and guidance. Now remember this, selling a home is logical. Buying a home is emotional. So when a buyer's emotions run hot, they get illogical, irrational maybe, and they're about to do something stupid or step in front of a bus, you as their agent can cool them down with logic. And in this case, logic is the sold comps. The sold comps and your interpretation of them will help the buyer correctly assess the value of the property and balance that with how much they love or don't love the property, and they'll make an offer accordingly. Running sold comps is not just for listing agents. In fact, I think this is one of the most important and valuable things that you can do as a buyer's agent. Now, the house in this real life example was a major 2-year rehab. And we made a short before and after video that you can watch right here. We took photos from the same exact angles so you can see the dramatic transformations. We'll see you over in that video.